Hey guys, so this editor data file that I'm using now is really like a real major experiment, and it includes a couple of stipulations and a couple of rules that are unlike anything I've ever experienced in Football Manager. Let me go ahead and show you here what it is that we're talking about. So if we go on over here to competitions, Mountain West Conference, and we go over here to the rules, you'll see what it is that I mean when I say that stuff is kind of crazy here. So I don't really care about all this stuff. I don't care that we have VAR and goal line technology, though I would prefer not having them. Whatever, it's fine. The thing that kills me is this here. Transfer window is from June 25th, 2022 to August 12th, 2022. But it was a restricted transfer window, right? You see, we're already past it. Maximum of 4 player signings allowed. So what that means is that you can't go through the old tactic of I'm going to sign every single player that's young and just develop them and see who comes out on top. You can't. You cannot. And then you can have a maximum of 8 players allowed in on loan in a season and allowed out on loan in a season, including foreign-based players. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really look for foreign players to loan in because why? I don't know if other teams did or not. But when we go over here and we take a look at the transfer page, here it is, and we look at our transfer history, what we see is that we didn't do any transfers at all. So there were 2 players we were able to sell. One we sold and then one we loaned out, and then we brought 2 players in. That's it. That's the extent of our transfers, and that's going to be our transfers for the whole year, right? I mean, it's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this, right? If we go over here to transfers and we look at the conference, right, we had 4 total, and then in addition to ours, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 others, and those were all transfers out, right? Nobody brought anybody in. There were 3 guys loaned out, and then 1 guy sold for nothing, right? I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I've never played a Football Manager save or a data file like this where there are just basically no transfers. Now, the way that this works is that this editor data file was originally a file for, I think it was like FM17 or FM18. There was a similar type of approach. The idea that the guy who created it had back then was to create this database but then have no transfers at all, because this is back when you couldn't really take college football players and have them move from club to club, or if you did, it would be really, really complicated. It's not like it is now where you do have a little bit of leeway, a little bit of room to take players in college football and have them go from one school to another in the transfer portal. I'm guessing that that's the reason why this is so transfer unfriendly. But the truth of the matter is that this causes a lot of problems, right? So the person who created this, when he was talking about some of the issues that he saw looking at this, was talking about club finances and said, one problem that you have is that teams never use anywhere close to their wage budget. Well, of course they won't if there are no transfers taking place. I mean, the players are kind of stuck there, right? These are not all college-age players, by the way. I mean, I think I showed you this in an earlier video, but if you look here at the age, we have guys who are 28, 27, 26, and so on. I mean, this is actual normal Football Manager. There's no professional club that will come and take guys away from you or have some draft to get rid of guys or stuff like that. No, these guys stay with your club, right? It's just that there's really no place to go, and it's going to be hard for them to get signed in free agency because there are no teams to sign them because of that 4 transfer and a transfer window limit. Right? Maybe they could be signed by a foreign team, but that would be hard as well because I don't have any of them loaded, right? For a variety of reasons. And so as a result, you'll always have a high transfer budget here, and you're always going to have a high wage budget, and the computer teams are going to run into the same thing. That's great when it comes to our projection, right? We're going to make tons and tons of money. We'll be just fine. But when it comes to figuring out how we're going to improve the squad, that becomes a little bit difficult. Now, the other thing you'll notice about the squad is that we have a lot of young players, and the reason why is because we want to actually have players on the team. We still have 1, 2, 3 of these grayed out players, right? Because we just don't have enough players to fill up those slots. We could take some of these under 19 players and put them over. Most of these players are not really good enough to even touch the first team. I guess some of them could, but this guy Palma doesn't play a position that we have. I mean, this guy Amutenya, we probably could just go ahead and put up. Maybe I'll go ahead and do that right now. These other guys, we don't play this position. We don't play this position. We really don't need this third goaltender, though we could put him up if we wanted to. And this guy here, another striker. I mean, that's the thing, Herman. We could put him up. Why? Might as well, because if he's not match fit, then the computer will automatically make them available for the under-19s. But right, you see what I'm saying? I mean, this is a real major, major challenge because there are a lot of players that, quite frankly, simply are not going to be able to play for your team. That's the big challenge of this. There's another thing that's interesting when we look here at the competition and at the rules again. Under work permit rules, it says work permit rules, foreign players, players with good potential. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what good potential means. I tried to sign 4 players who play in positions that we have who were foreign players who looked like they were like just good enough for me. They came in saying that they had 5-star current ability, 5-star potential because these teams are not exactly overpowered and they didn't get work permits, right? Good potential. So I tried it again. I tried to sign a 21-year-old. Didn't get a work permit, even though he had amazing looking potential. So when it comes to this particular rule, I don't know what it means. I don't know what the work permit is like. Perhaps in a different video, future video, I'll go take a look at the editor data file and see if we can figure out what is going on, right? But like something weird is happening. There's something that doesn't quite fit in. There's other weird things too, right? Wage rules, $15,000 per week minimum wage for full-time players. Yeah. Do we have anybody who fits that? I mean, I'm not showing the wage here, but I can probably go ahead and add this on in. Let's see here. Probably under transfer. Anyway, at any rate, the thing that I've noticed is that wages for these players tend to be a little bit lower than what you would normally expect. And I think that's also caused by sort of the transfer limitations that have come up. Now, I mean, it's fine. You don't necessarily need to like, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to find this here while I'm on video or not. Here we go. Contract. That is where it is. Wage. There we go. Yeah. So look at this. Nobody's on even close to that, right? The highest we have is $1,500 per week. And I guarantee you that when we look at his contract details, he's on, full-time contract. So, I mean, what was that rule again, right? The rule doesn't make any sense. Anyway, these are some of the problems that we're encountering here, like right from the get-go. I don't want to be like extraordinarily, $15,000 per week minimum wage for full-time players. That clearly does not apply. All right, I don't want to be too judgmental and too critical of what's going on here without really giving this database a playthrough. But what happens frequently in these sort of fantasy databases that you download is you'll see people who don't pay much attention to little things like that. The wage budget, if you're holidaying for like 10 or 20 years or whatever, you're probably not going to notice it that much. But if you're trying to get into the save and if you're trying to go through like a challenge, you're going to notice this, right? One of the reasons why I always talk about the World Super League editor data file that Darth Furion comes up with every year is because he does a very good job of making sure that finances are correctly balanced and that, like your South American team, when they go play an FA Cup match against a team on the other side of the world, isn't going to go bankrupt right away, right? It's stuff like this that a lot of people don't realize that is important when it comes to like balancing stuff and making sure that you have something worthwhile. We're seeing some of the problems here in this save already. I mean, I don't know what necessarily the right solution is, but it would be a good start maybe to think about whether you want to allow transfers at all instead of having it so severely restricted. I mean, it does mean that for a long-term save, instead of relying on like buying players, you're going to have to grow your youth talent and stuff like that. But it also means that certain things will not be compatible with this save, right? You don't want to have like the new injury pack or whatever to have more realistic injuries because your guys will be hurt all the time. You won't have enough people to play, right? So there are a lot of little different problems and quirks that come up. We'll see what else comes along. I have more videos to talk about sort of the weird stuff going on with this editor data file. It'll be fun to get into. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll talk with you later. Bye.